o'clock. We're going to start on time. My name is John Coleman, Mayor of City of Crown Heights. We're meeting with an anchor location at 910 South Mountain Road, Edson, Utah, 84037. We're going to begin this meeting with a Pledge of Allegiance, which is going to be led by Councilmember Gary Anderson, and a thought or prayer by Councilmember Mark. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father in heaven, as we humbly come before the Father at the beginning of this city council meeting, we're so very grateful for the opportunity that we have of living in this beautiful community, in this beautiful area. And we would ask that as we meet this evening, that we can share opinions and be able to have good open discussion and respect everybody and be able to continue to make this a city of good neighbors. We'd ask a special blessing to be upon our city staff and public works people and the city council mayor, that they'll be able to have the energy and be able to make those right decisions for all residents within our community. And we say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. We move on to item number 1.3, which is roll call. Haley.
Councilmember Gary Anderson.
Here.
Councilmember Mark Cuttrell.
Here.
Councilmember Eileen Moss.
Excuse.
Councilmember George Ray.
Here.
Councilmember Florence Sadler.
Here.
Mayor John Coleman.
Here. Thank you. Item number 1.4, this is an item on our agenda that we've had for the last few years. We put aside 3 minutes for our agenda so that we can train on our responsibilities and functions as an elected official. Tonight's training is actually mine. I will take 3 minutes. Earlier this year, we as a city council held a strategic planning meeting where we discussed items that we wanted to work on and initiatives we wanted to work on. One of the items that we wanted to work on, and as an elected official, we wanted to try to make our city more welcoming, less discrimination against any who choose to move here. So one of our public works individuals, he came up with an idea of why don't we define what it means to be a city of good neighbors. So from that, we wrote a creed, which is the Crown Heights City Creed, which defines city of good neighbors. What does it mean to be a city of good neighbors? I would like to just spend a couple minutes just reading it real quick. Crown Heights, the city of good neighbors. We, the resident staff, elected officials of Crown Heights City, pledge to foster a community based on open and honest communication, civil disagreement, and a spirit of goodwill toward all. We warmly embrace all individuals who choose to contribute to our diverse community. We are committed to building a community through enjoyable associations and service to all our neighbors, recognizing that we all share in the responsibility of its growth and prosperity. And then there's some bullet points of a definition. It goes on. We, as a community in which we are a community in which residents feel safe, protected, and respect each other's rights, privacy, and personal property. We are a welcoming community, treating all individuals, residents, neighbors with compassion, decency, and respect. We are a community that strategically plans for our future. We are an ethical community that always acts with honesty and integrity. We are a community built on service to others, and we seek out opportunities to serve those in need. We are a fiscally responsible community that prudently plans for our future and stays within our well-planned, balanced budget. We are a community built on open, dynamic, and respectful communication. We are a community that builds the necessary infrastructure to support the needs of our future. We are a community growing with deep roots of an impressive heritage, and we honor those who have worked to harvest this delightful area. We are a community that is inclusive to all, regardless of race, religion, political affiliation, color, sex, gender, identity, age, sexual orientation, national origin, marital or family status, disability or economic status, and we are a judicious community, remaining alert to the threats posed by hatred, intolerance, and other discriminations, and ever prepared to correct them. And I just state that that is who we are as a community. We are a city of good neighbors, and we can continue to be a city of good neighbors into the future. Thank you. Ooh, 1 second remaining. We're going to move on to item number 2. Do you have any conflicts of interest that we need to discuss this time? Here. Items they feel they would like to present. This is a public comment period. We welcome any who would like to make a comment. We would ask that you keep it to 3 minutes. If someone has stated something that you agree with, we don't feel that it's necessary to continually restate the same thing. But we put this on our agenda so that you can, as residents, can present items or concerns that you have with the city. We would turn over to residents if there are any public comments. Yes, and if you wouldn't mind, just come up to the podium and say your name. I know your name, but we need your name for the minutes.
Terry Smith, I live on 7 South Mountain Road. Obviously, our property in Tanner's where it's fine. I don't expect a response, but I want to give the council something to think about for the next couple of weeks because I will apply the other agenda. I just want to ask, who's next? Moving forward. Which house? There was talk of mitigation when it happened with Hunts. Nothing was ever done. There was nothing ever enforced with Matt Lowe. What happens when Matt Lowe leaves? The mess keeps occurring. Who's going to pay for it? The city? Every time it comes down off the mountain? We're still waiting for reports. I mean, Darren has been good about pushing for the reports. I don't feel like there's any accountability on that contractor and the developer. It keeps coming down the hill. Every time it storms, I can't leave town. I got water coming down the mountain because they've scraped every piece of vegetation off that mountain. There was land above us and Tanner's that was slated for future development. It's been developed. Who let that go? Where's the accountability? It shouldn't have ever been touched. It wasn't approved. That's my backyard, not any of yours. How would you feel? I mean, really. I mean, it's just, I'll be on the agenda in 2 weeks, and I just want you guys to think about it and hopefully have some answers. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Terry.
Okay.
Please state your name, address.
My name is Danny. The past 12 years, I live in Blue Heights. My dad and I lived here on the way. The past 5 years, though, we dealt with utility law. And we dealt with all promises and statements and attitude of we'll do whatever we want to get our done. One thing that has kept us going was a belief that in the end, we'd eventually be working with Blue Heights. We believed that they respect us, that they'll work with us, that they'll help us figure it out in the end. Today, I actually stand very disappointed and frustrated, not like Blue Heights. On Sunday, in church, we were shocked to learn that there's a service project that's scheduled for this weekend. Project planned to work in a trail that sits between my backyard and the sound. That's not just the entire west side of our property, but the north side as well. Our entire perimeter trail. No emails, no phone calls, no nice little notes on the door. Nothing was done at all to inform us of even a possibility that such a trail was going to exist. No scheduled meetings, no discussions, not even a chance to vote. And the only evidence of there even being such a possibility is the general plan on the Blue Heights City website, where it is referred to as a proposed trail. So my question is this: how do we get to a point where citizens of Blue Heights are being asked in a church meeting to attend a service project or a trail that's never been discussed or approved by the people? Now, to make sure that my claim is not going to be dismissed or being perceived as biased due to the fact that the property is so close in proximity to the proposed trail. I'm going to quote from a report by the Portland State University titled Trail Design Planning for the Trails and Shared These Paths. This report basically states successful trail projects should include an opportunity to gather community feedback and build ownership, keep safety in mind for all users, and provide a plan for management and plan for connections and other destinations and easy access to the trail. Trails should also respect neighboring property owners and work with them on creating a project that can be enjoyed and will add value to their neighbors. So Through Heights is better than this. I know it is. I ask of you, please give the leadership that I voted for, stood behind, and has given me hope. Right now, my confidence is being fast. Let's move forward together and do this in the right way. Our city might be small, and things like a trail might seem unimportant because it's insignificant. We need to be left. True. Let us not forget what makes Through Heights Through Heights. Let's not be afraid to different opinions. You might as we're seeing results. Let's work together to build a community that our families deserve, no matter where Through Heights live. Let's be respectful of each other, support each other.
Thank you.
My name is Melissa Roberts. I live at 690 South. And I actually have a few numbers to show. We have a petition right here. And we have 12 houses on our side of the street. Our backyard is between, right over here between Nichols Road and the city building. Our backyard is that trail would be the next section would be developed. In the interest of having only found out about this trail development on Sunday, I was only able to see pictures from my side of the road in these 2 days and a little holiday with people in town. And I have 9 of the 12 houses who have said, signed this, both husbands and wives. And then one of the houses is on vacation. One of the houses is a rental home, so the owners are not in their homes. And one of the houses will like not like for their uses, they don't want to target it. Ours have a section of the neighborhood, and imagining that this is obviously, I think, like the whole neighborhood is feeling this way. The north side of Nichols Road also will should have similar feelings, as I imagine, but we feel like any development in China needs to be well thought out, well planned. It needs to be posted in an open meeting, in an open setting like this. One of the neighbors that did on the same chair, he said that this neighborhood development idea feels like it's half planned and half thought out. We've seen what happened underneath the tunnel and how there's graffiti. The record for it being cleaned is 3 days, and the tunnel's been there like a year, 2 years. I know my husband and our youth groups have gone and volunteered their time to clean it out. And if this is the example of what's going to happen to trails in our area without safety measures, without proper maintenance, without city funding going on trail maintenance and safety with cameras and lights, some sort of maintenance that being let go, it will become a vagrant area for teens and for vandalism. So he says that we need to have an open public meeting, put it on the agenda, and it could be the next city council meeting with time to fully discuss the details of this plan, including using city taxpayer money allocated for maintenance of the trail, safety precautions, also UDOT permissions and support from them, finishing the fences between, the fence ends at the middle of someone's property, and then there's a big hole between here and the home. So if there's a trail from here to houses, there's the opportunity, potential for everyone to just wander through along the trail and wander into the gully and have a great party down there in people's backyards and in the forest area, and then continue on feeding them behind others. So the guards nobody watching. We've been told by UDOT and by the city that we cannot put our own gates going into that area, so we can't go and help maintain the road back there or the potential trail. And that we also cannot maintain, give accountability to whoever's back there. Hey, what are you guys doing? Because we can't get back there. And so those things need to be evaluated by UDOT, especially if UDOT decides to come and do their, yearly maintenance on the different easements that they have for the Rocky Mountain Power, the Connect Fiber, and for all of the sewage, we're gonna be draining, and now this is what we are going to walk, and our children to go play. But then you're gonna have these construction vehicles, so there needs to be notice, there needs to be communication, and this needs to be there needs to be oversight over any trail development. And that's our section of the road that I can represent here. Further up the road, they are now connected to that tunnel that's having vandals. And so then coming from the tunnel, those people who just vandalized the tunnel will be coming off there and then coming out to Nichols Road and then continuing part of down our area. We are very concerned about what could happen, and we would like the community's wishes to be acknowledged. This was rather, I was worried that it was just my feelings, but the petition of every single house except for the three we could get, and then it was a big deal that everyone supported. This needs to have better planning, and we should not be jumping into a service project, including the whole community, when we have not even had a community actually say we want this to go forward. So our suggestion is please table this, find it a wonderful other service project. We want to do it, we want to help out, and we love our health system, but we would also like this to be better planned out, have more public support, more public discussion, and have more ideas for safety of the neighborhood and the community.
Thanks, Melissa.
My name is Brandon Alley. I live on 24 Acres Way, also former council member. So just reiterating the message, a couple of quick things. As a former council member, one of the things that they bash in your head is following protocols, following ordinances and laws. And it sounds like, it looks like, it feels like that this trail is being put in place without proper procedures, laws followed. And what happens when we do things that are not done right? The city becomes liable. Any protections that you think you have don't exist. When you do not follow your own laws, you don't follow the laws of the state. When you do not abide by these ordinances and laws, you as council members, the city manager, and the city itself is going to be held liable for any damages. And I guarantee, as was perfectly stated, the current trails we have are not, there's no protection. There's issues with vandalism constantly, there's issues with all kinds of stuff. So everybody needs to understand it. If the trail happens and the damage on your property, they're on it over and over and over again. Because they were not following the ordinances that are established in our city as well as laws. So they're putting themselves and our tax dollars at risk to pay for damages on them. The other thing you need to be aware of is we talked about, obviously, again, electric planning, hill. I had about 14 inches of water in my backyard all winter long because drainage up there. So we brought in UDOT 3 times to kind of look at drainage from where the retention pond is next to Davidson's. All that water just runs off the hill in the backyards. Drainage is not resolved, so to have somebody go in there and cleaning up more foliage, all you're going to do is create more water issues and more damage to the problem. All I got, guys.
Cody Bennett. I live at 510 South 1350 East. That is right off of Nichols. It backs up to Soundwall on Highway 89. And that's okay. One, everything I've heard about this trail that's proposed from here to has come from friends that are really from the city. So I'd like the city to clarify if there really is a trail proposed. The city is working with UDOT to make that trail happen. Obviously, the city is working with the saints to help start the trail. And then if the trail is going to happen, what plan do you have for it? What will the surface be? Who's going to maintain it? Who's going to protect it? How do we keep people from vandalizing the sound walls behind the house? When I purchased my house in 2021, I worked closely with UDOT because at the time my property boundary did not have a map, and I couldn't see exactly where the boundary was, so I worked really closely with them to know exactly what was gonna happen with the sound wall, fence that would be installed on the house, what they were gonna use that access for, and the only thing they told me was that it was for the power companies to service their utility companies, their power lines. Never heard anything about the trail. So we'd like to know if it's happening, what's happening. A lot of confusion, it seems like people only heard about it by church. It's not, I don't think it's not. My home will now be open to the public on 3 sides. Don't like that idea. I now have to put up a privacy fence behind my house. Right now, I just have a sound wall and a chain link fence that you got installed. I'm okay with that for now, but I wouldn't be okay with that if people are walking behind the house. That fence would be self-funded. I don't want to pay for that. Well, anyways, I don't think it's a good idea. I think this should be reconsidered. And please tell us if this is the idea, you guys' idea, what plans.
Thanks, Cody.
My name is Nick Davey. I live on Harris Drive. I hate to derail the trail thing, but on the subject of things happening over and over and over again, I just wanted to bring to your attention the issue there that we have with the rainstorm. Whenever there's a rainstorm, all the dirt is going to flood down by development that's going on up on the hill. Every time it rains, well, our neighbor has sent me a bunch of pictures. It sheets up. It looks like the Mississippi River flowing down. And I know that like every time somebody sends out diggers to dig up all the mud and walk over the hill after it's washed down our street, washed out our park strip, washed out, all of our lawns. Diggers around, dig out the bottom. That's not a long-term solution. I assume that somebody's had a conversation with developers about that. As far as I can tell, when I go up there, it looks like all the dirt that got washed off the side of the sidewalk just be filled back in, and the same little radio things are put back in place. And so I don't see how the next rainstorm anything can happen here. So hopefully those conversations are still going on. We're kind of hoping the developers speak to the fire a little bit. So I just want to bring that back.
Thanks, Nick.
I live on 1350 East as well, talking about the trail, and I work regularly with elected officials, and I appreciate all they do. You know, the job is difficult to manage all of the different opinions and conversations and solving problems. I feel like the expectation that I had to receive notice was not met at all. And I think it's easy to point the finger at UDOT and say, well, that's UDOT's plan. I think it's easy to just say that we have, that's not our property, and so we have no authority to do anything about it. The challenge, though, the way my expectation of my representative is to communicate those things with the residents and then do something and help them represent us, whether it be with UDOT or with other entities. The easy thing to do is just to say, well, it's not our decision. But I think that there could be more done, both in the notification side of things, as well as working with other entities that do own that or have an easement through that property, Rocky Mountain Power, that would make sense and that would meet my expectations as an elected official. So, thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
So, my name is Russ Tanner, and I'm a twin of South Mountain. I have one side in my backyard as well. Just, I guess you guys can't say anything or respond at all tonight. I'm curious as to what the response process looks like in these kind of concerns. It seems like we've lived here for 3 years, and in those 3 years, it seems like again and again and again, failure to communicate with the community, and failure to listen to the community's wishes when planning, developing, and instituting new things. The Roots Trail with development on the hill, with, and now we've got a trail that opens a bunch of people's backyards. Just so that everybody else knows and is aware of kind of what's happened. A year ago, there was a slide off the hill, buried almost killed a couple of our neighbors. And we sat down with the mayor and with some of the city leadership and got a bunch of lip service. And promises that things would be taken care of. And nothing was taken care of. And work with the hill continued. Fast forward a year, the slide is in our backyard, Gary's backyard. Luckily, nobody got hit this time. But in the future, is it going to take somebody dying before the city takes action? Every morning after a rainstorm, it's on to see the crew very aggressively and as early as they can in that white vest. Get pictures or hit the rocks that are in the middle of the road. I'm very interested in the city's response, and it would be good when it's an agenda item. We get to actually talk about it. I hope and give us moving forward.
Thanks, Russ.
Yeah, Chrissy Serena, and I'm on that road, so I'm on South Mountain Road, and I'm also active in that subdivision. I have not been affected as much as some of these other families, but I still have been affected with mud coming down into my yard. I have talked with the SWIP company 5 or 6 times to come and fix it. I waited weeks on end, I mentioned it to Darren, and stuff was never done until I had to call back and start sending pictures of what was done. Originally, when the subdivision was told that it was going in, we were told that there would be no foliage taken out near the edge of the hill. Okay, it is stripped clear to the edge. You now have a great big hill above my hill and above my back property, and if you get in there, that mud is still going to keep coming down. It will never stop. There's no foliage there. We were told that would never be taken off. You had to build so far off the property or off the edge of the hill. I have to build 50 feet off the bottom of my hill. So why was that taken clear to the edge of the hill? It's my concern. My other concern is back when this was all starting, I talked with Brandon about it. I said, Brandon, what's going to happen when that hill comes down? I said, it's not when, it's not if, it's when that hill comes down. His response to me was, I guess our attorneys will have to talk. To me, that's a pretty shallow answer to come back. That was not supposed to be done. When that first hill came down, why was there not a cease and desist order on the building up there? Why did they get to keep building? Why did they get to keep digging for roads and hills and all of that? Something should have stopped until all these reports came back to figure out what was wrong, what they were doing up there that was wrong. None of that was ever done. And now, some of these people don't even dare let their kids go out in the backyard because who's to say more hill is not going to come down? My hill's already come down. I'm sitting on it because of the previous owner. But if I had kids like Tanner's do and in their backyard with a swimming pool and that, I would never let my kids out in the backyard again. That was absolutely the worst thing I had to see. I've got grandkids living with me. They're not allowed to go on that back property because of all the mud that's come down back in there. And I just feel like we're not getting what we need as citizens. Soon as that mud comes down that road, you guys have, or people around there cleaning up the road. But as soon as the mud came down in Tanner's backyard, it's this backyard. I mean, Derek came and tried to stop it from going into the houses and digging trenches. Yes, he did help with that, and that was very much appreciated. But why are people out there cleaning it up for them, just like they're cleaning up the road? We kind of have felt like it's a neighborhood that your interest is more in the developer than it is in the citizens that live along that hill. Because we're not getting answers, we're not getting reports, we're not getting anything to help us know what to do back there. With that big hill behind my property, that mud will never stop coming down. And I think something needs to be done, because it wasn't supposed to be developed in the first place.
Thank you, Kristen.
I'm Curtis Cannon, live at 45 South Mountain Road, next door to Russ Tanner and Russ Tanner from Terry. Very familiar with the mudslide, very familiar with the happenings when it rains, when the mud comes down. My question to you, Mayor, to you, City Council, is why every city, we don't see anything being done. We don't see any action, we don't see anything that the developers are doing, as Christie said. In my observation, the development agreement has been violated. We spent a lot of time on the planning commission looking at talking about the development agreement. From my observation, it's been violated, and why that should be violated. The cause of this mudslide, I feel, can directly contribute to the work and labors of the development. And if that's the case, then there should have been a stop, there should have been after the first incident. There should have been a stop, should have been fixed. Vegetation, erosion prevention measures, a lot can be done. Why are we not hearing anything?
Thank you, Curtis. Anyone else?
My name is Iron Chap, and also, I live in Deer Heights on, since 1990. There's never been a mudslide on that hill, except for one time when the previous owners accidentally let the water out on it for weeks. That's what caused it. But other than that, there hasn't been anything. And, I remember in 92 and 93, it's probably one of the wettest years we had here. I could jump off the roof in the snow, on that size. Oh, because there's no development there. Thanks.
Thank you.
That's 20 North Mountain Road. And to echo what Jared said earlier, guys, as well as council members, I appreciate your efforts and doing the best you can. Just to echo a little bit, the concerns of the water flows. What we're really looking for is short-term problem solving. Long-term problem solving. We asked for that a year ago after first mudslide. We asked for a plan, and nothing happened. Absolutely nothing happened. I'm shocked that the developer has not been fined into oblivion by the state or by the Congress employees and that's for. The split between the most atrocious activities and development back home. I recognize our property rights, and I respect those of Matt's. I think the issue here is really how he's managing his property now and how that will manage the future. safety of all the residents that are concerned. It's obvious that evidence, I go up and take video every time there's a rain event, because every time there's a rain event, there's a problem. And we have that evidence, it's sent to the state, it's been circulated here, and it's not gonna stop until something changes. Status quo is simply not acceptable. It's dangerous, it's active, and something needs to change. Really quick, I'm looking for reports. Everyone's talking about reports, it's been months. I do this professionally, those reports don't have months. I don't know where they are, but I'm looking forward to seeing the results of effective third-party reports that we can all rely upon and move forward. For a short-term plan to manage the sweat, so we don't have much what's going on here, strider, trying to gain a video. The baby kids came out at the wrong time. It was the name. There's probably at the bottom of the terrace that's that big. If we were washing stuff on both sides of that road, and it was very dangerous. Obviously, the mudslides are extremely dangerous. I saw that firsthand, and I saw two of my very good friends and neighbors lose their lives. So this isn't just a matter of city policy and dotting our I's and crossing our T's. It's a matter of safety, health. That is the city council's number one priority. The city being free. I'm going to take the last few seconds on the trail. I was shocked by this as well. I want to echo everything else that's been said, with which I agree. It's bad planning. I just don't get it. We have Mountain Road as a designated safe lit trail system. I don't know why people want to go on that trail. It makes no sense. Bad planning. Nobody wants to walk between private property and a large barricade with power lines in straight line to nowhere. Don't go anywhere. Anybody who gets access on that trail, gets the same access on the road, is where they want to go to. And a much friendlier, much more pedestrian friendly atmosphere. So I don't know where that idea derived from. I was saying I was kind of sitting in church going, oh, let's go do that. That sounds like a great idea. And then I started hearing more about the details of what it was, and I was like, I didn't understand. It doesn't make sense. So it's bad planning. I think it's infringing on private property rights, and I think the communication was this. So those are my feelings. We look forward to open communication. We hope that commences, so we have some communication from city staff as to what the next steps are to truly protect us as private property owners and residents. So appreciate that.
Thanks, Matt.
Since 2000, and we've been through lots of rain terms, and there's nothing like what's going on in my video. It's literally like a river on both sides of the street, one turns drive, and the huge rocks like on that side. And the park strips are just basically gutted out. And we talked to people from the development, and they say, oh, come up here. No, they're kind of having several things. So it is, and the trucks are there. The last one happened. I think having stuff raining and the pullovers are out, like getting rid of everything which is black, but at the same time, it's like a quick cover up. It's in the dark, I mean, people down there didn't have to do. You know, it's definitely a problem in their own years. There's never been any flooding or any problems.
Thank you, Allison. Not seeing or hearing anymore, we're going to move on to item number 5.1, which is a discussion item on a swimming pool setback to the interior property line. Darren, are you going to present this one?
Yeah.
Hey, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Sincerely.
We look forward to hearing from you.
I would ask all of you, there will be an open mayor seat and 2 city council seats at the end of next year. Please get involved. I'm not joking. Please, we need you to get involved.
So, the full discussion, this was to the planning commission, the last meeting. And as the planning commission was in discussion about, should we change the setback from 8 feet to 5 feet, or 8 feet to 3 feet? We kept continuing back and forth. I suggested to the planning commission that this was just changed a few months ago to 8 feet by the city council, and asked if they would prefer to have some direction from the city council. Is this something the city council wants to look at? Is this something that the city council has in mind for a setback of a certain distance, and they'll bring that back to them? Because of that, once again, if this is something that the city council is willing to look at, planning commission will need to go through a public hearing, go through that process. I will tell you, there were 2 members on the planning commission that were thinking 3 feet was okay, and there was 2 members that said they would go for anything less than 5. Discussion on number 45 minutes. Maybe an hour about that, and there was nothing being accomplished by the planning commission. So I did make the recommendation that we just ask the council for some direction. So this is just a discussion item. The council doesn't have to decide anything. It's just giving myself some direction.
Thank you, Darren.
Can I give a little bit more perspective?
You can always answer that.
So just a little bit more background on what Darren said. This all came about, we've got a resident that would like to have a 3-foot setback to accommodate his pool in his yard. That's how this whole thing started. He needs that to get his pool in the ground. So we've gone from 5 to 10 to 8, and now we're being asked to look at a 3 to 5 foot setback. Darren's done research on this. I've done research. Mr. White's done some research. I looked at 15 different cities around the state and even did some national searches. And setbacks vary from 5 to 10 feet. But the overwhelming majority of setbacks in cities is 5 feet. Probably 1 out of 3 is 5 feet. And nationally, that's stated as a national average is 5 feet. I would hope that I would be able to talk to some individuals that have been in the business a long time and say, why is it 5 feet? Where did you get 5 feet from? Where did you get 10 feet from? There's no one. These issues with swimming pool setbacks don't come up very often. We can write volumes about chickens, but not swimming pool setbacks. And so we couldn't really find any like smoking gun or rhyme or reason. The building code itself does not deal with residential setbacks of pools or buildings or structures. It's dealing with barriers around the pools, not setbacks. And so there's nothing in there that is going to give you any help making a decision. It's just kind of a feel-good thing. So that's what we felt like, or I just wanted to let you know, in the research that Darren and I have done, that's kind of where, that's what we found.
Thank you, Jeff. City Council. So we received a presentation and a request from the Planning Commission and City Manager to discuss this and give direction to the Planning Commission. I think Jeff Boiler is absolutely wrong. This is the 3rd time this has come up to us in 2 years. We can write volumes about pool setbacks just as much as chickens. But I think it's something that we need to, the Planning Commission has to ask for some direction. What do you guys feel? What do you want? What do you want Darren and the planning commission to do?
As a legislator, I want us to focus more on objective measures and objective reasons for any law that we create. And this feels like a very subjective thing. And so I really hope in this conversation, before we make a change, before we really consider it, that we really find an objective measure. So when it comes back up again, we can say, this is why it is what it is, and then keep it. Because we all know I hate variances as well.
Yes.
So that's what I'm hoping for as a legislator, is an objective measure for that number, which I don't think exists either, because I've went and read the IBC code, and they do have a setback for a barrier of 20 inches for a chain link fence, but other than that, there's not even a requirement on that. So I don't
Do you
know.
have any objective ideas or recommendations or suggestions?
I don't. I've never lived next to a pool. I don't have a pool, so I'm not even sure what the experience is like.
So we went from 10 to 8, and we're currently at 8. Like we're right in between the 5 and 10. And I distinctly remember our last conversation, like, should we go to 5? And it was absolutely on say 8. And again, that was more objective than it was subjective. Here, you have something?
Ultimately, I'd be okay with moving it to 5, but you know, it's a difficult thing because you're really trying to protect neighbors that are close. In Fruit Heights, we have a luxury of not being ultra close to each other.
Right.
But you know, that also brings up the argument that the more time goes on and the more condensed housing gets, the more difficult it is going to be to balance your yard if you're trying to put a pool in.
Right.
And so, you know, I know that typically we try to avoid variances. And I am in agreement with that for the most part. However, I don't feel it's appropriate for somebody to hand me their shoes and say, go run this marathon. And so, you know, if we can capture the majority of the will of the city in the ordinance, not 100%, because that's nearly impossible. But if we were to capture the high majority with the ordinance and consider a few variances here and there, that's what I see as a realistic, you know, path forward on something like this.
I did have an objective thought, Mayor. Mine. 0. Setback is 0. Tell me why that's not acceptable.
Are you literally asking the question?
Yeah, literally asking the question. Why is a 0 setback not acceptable?
So, in my perspective, when I didn't live in Fruit Heights, I had a neighbor build a little deck in their backyard because they had a lot of water on their grass. And it made my 6-foot fence for them become a 5-foot fence. And so they could just come over and be like, hey, how's it going? And we were only like 10 feet away from the fence. And so it made it a little bit awkward for a little while until we moved. So just having a little bit of a barrier is helpful to kind of keep relationships go smooth, in my opinion.
Sure.
So that would be my response. Sorry.
But 3 foot, 5 foot, so then it becomes subjective. So
I recognize, and I'm not dead set on one number. And as Jeff said, it's not a super hot topic, but I'm trying to like think of a neighbor that's really close to another neighbor and is right next to their back door. And how would I feel if I were that neighbor? You know, I don't know. Trying to help. Yeah.
So I would go to, what are our neighbors doing? And we ended up moving it to 8 feet because we were 10 and Kaysville is 8. And we are at 8 because Farmington and Kaysville are both 8.
And that's very objective. It's what the neighbors are doing.
Yeah.
All that. And I do remember conversations about keeping stuff consistent between the cities for the enforcement.
We were 10 and Kaysville was 8. Thoughts?
Yes.
being new to this, I don't quite understand all the ordinances and some of the past history, but when we were involved in it in May, we went from 10 to 8 to kind of line up with Farmington and with Kaysville. Mr. White did call me the other night, and on Sunday, I went and opened up his gate and looked at the situation, because he did send me a nice plan that if we go 3 feet, then that gives him a 15 by 40 foot pool. And I was, okay, well, anyway.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, well, at least I went there and looked at it so I could see what the situation was, okay? So I noticed, you know, you have trees on your side, which I assume you would take down. And then there's trees on the other side. So my thought is, I don't see how we could go 3 feet, because I think a sidewalk is roughly 4 feet wide. I don't know how you would ever be able to clean all the leaves out of the pool, you know, if you're trying to work with 3 feet in the fence. I mean, 5 feet I could maybe go with, but I just hate that we were at 10, then we went to 8, now we're going to go to 5. That just seems a little strange to me. Now, the property next to you, luckily you don't have a home real close to your property. Has anything been explored that they maybe buy 5 feet or 8 feet, whatever is needed from those people, and would they be open to that? Because where the lot's on a corner lot, that could be feasibly done. But I just struggle with every other month we're changing these ordinances just to kind of please people. And in some research that I did, there's most of our cities around here are sitting at 8 and 5 feet. I don't think there's anybody smaller than 5 feet. So I don't think we should even consider anything smaller than 5 feet. But I did appreciate him calling me. I did appreciate him saying I could open up the gate, because when you look at it, it gives you a different perspective than just looking at a drawing or a lot of hearsay.
Well,
I think it's probably nice to have the consistency with the other cities. And I also think it's nice so that there's consistency. But I also think it's good to make a variance now and then. I've seen a problem like there's a once in a while when somebody comes and asks in a reasonable way. It's not that it doesn't happen very often, and it's not gonna ruin our ordinances that we make a variance once in a while, in my opinion. And so I think that we should maybe keep it the way it is and let somebody have a variance. When I taught when I did the training on variances, and it was, if there's something particular about that property, and it will help with the enjoyment that maybe the other neighbors don't have or care about, and it will help with the enjoyment of their property to be able to use it the way they want, then it's okay to make it. If I remember right.
I would struggle with variances, because then you could get them on everything. I mean, chickens on sheds on everything.
so would it be fair to state back to our city that it seems like we would consider a 5 foot? And we could tell the planning commission that we would consider a 5 foot, but I would tell them that it's not a final solution. But if they want to come up with an ordinance or modification to 5 feet, I personally don't understand why would we go less than Kaysville and Farmington when we brought it from 10 to 8 earlier this year. I don't understand why we would do that just for a singular individual, but I also like Mr. Ray's recommendation on staying with subjectivity, but I don't know if we can put subjectivity.
And I just wrote a thought down. I know this is pie in the sky, just George stupid ideas again, but I wrote down, and this has been something that's been coming to my mind a lot. If you don't have an objective reason to restrict my rights, don't do it. And if we don't have, as legislators, an objective reason to restrict somebody's rights, then why are we even touching it? And when I think about because I went and read the laws in the pool, they prescribe how much space can be in the fence. And that is also in the IBC for handrails on deck. And the reason for that is small children can stick their head through the rails and get hung up and die. And so they have decided 2 inches between soft surfaces, 4 inches hard surfaces. That's very objective to me, and I can understand the reason why we would limit somebody's right with that. But I'm saying, I don't know if we can't come up with an objective reason, then I don't think we should be limiting somebody's rights.
So I'm saying, what are the rights of the neighbors?
Absolutely.
To some degree. I mean, there's a balance is what I'm suggesting. And I'm also suggesting that there's a reason in politics that we have variances at all, is because sometimes they're appropriate. And if we're always doing variances, then our ordinances are garbage and we need to change them. But I think the measure is, if you're doing them a lot, you need to really take a look at your ordinance, but they do exist for some reason, so.
So would anyone disagree with that statement back to planning commission? We would entertain, we would look at a change, but there would have to be some objectivity or some reasoning as to why.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
And a 5 foot or?
I would personally, I would say 5 feet at least, but I am also okay at 8. We're not having more than one person come to us requesting lower than 5 feet or lower than 8 feet. Singular situation. So to change it for everyone, I don't know. But I would, does anyone disagree with that? Take it back to the planning commission, say, good luck. You guys wrestle with this one for a little bit.
Can I make just one comment about variance? I've talked to Mr. White about this, but there are very specific rules about variances. And one of those is it cannot be self-imposed. There is no condition or situation in which having a swimming pool is not self-imposed. That will never fly. He will never qualify for a variance to build a swimming pool.
Correct.
So that's off the table.
Yeah, correct.
So it's either change the ordinance or don't.
Right. Yeah. You guys good with that? Okay.
Yes.
Item number 5.2 is a clean draft of the personnel policy. You guys have a chance to review that. Anything you want to discuss?
No.
The only change that I would look at, since that's a big document.
Yeah.
Was the tuition, and I did notice that it had changed from what we recommended, but I didn't check on terms of see if they have.
Great. Moving on to 5.3 is the start session for the January 2025 culinary water rates. Darren, you drive this one?
Yes.
Buckle up. This is fucking fun.
So,
talk about living in a monopoly. We can't get our water from anywhere else.
So, I remember, back in February when we did the rate study, the impact fee study, Zions Bank, our staff, not through a lot of the formulas that came up with about 10% increase in water. This is more back to the city council. It's now September, January is not that far away. And so I wanted to bring this up. As you remember, we were facing about $30,000 increase in their lots this year. If we take that 30,000 and we divide it by our 1,800 connection, that's about $16 a year for us. That increase comes out to be just over $1 a month to cover that cost. That doesn't include all the increases, just regular purification that we have to do as a city, or chlorine, the increases there. Zions Bank, once again, as they went through the process, they figured out a 10% increase each year in our water rights. Brings back We just finished with our budget. And you can see what we budgeted this year, where we're at on budget. We did take money from the house, the water budget this year, to help pay for some grants that we received in the last few years. And make sure our fund balances are possible. So this is more, beginning of this session, I think, with the council. For this next year.
Any questions for Darren? You can stay here for a second. Okay. You're taking 5.4 too. Okay. Does anyone have any questions at this point? This is something that we're going to put on the agenda probably a couple more times between now and the end of the year. This is something we need to nail down. And Eileen keeps on asking, and it's something that I think all of us are now asking. Consolidated rate.
Yeah, so that will actually, that's coming up too. I started putting that together with the changes for the stormwater that we wanted to take out of the ordinance and add to consolidated fee schedule. There's some other items that we bring that, and of course, water that's to us. Increase.
So could we request as the city council that we see that consolidated fee schedule in the next couple of council meetings, within the next council meetings?
Yes, I will work on that. And that's set up and ready for you to go through.
Because we would like to see that and do that all together.
Yes.
And not just one off water, we'd like to put water into the consolidated fee schedule as well. Water specifically is gonna have any.
What do we dose, some of our water up here on 1800 with chlorine?
Yes, we do. So part of our system, we have to chlorinate. First of all, we have a well, and we're required by state to chlorinate that well as we move into the system, which is mostly to the lower tank. But also we have to be able to boost and have a residual chlorine throughout the system. So we do boost our chlorine at the upper tank and also boost it at the lower tank. There's times that, especially this year for Weaver Basin, where we've had no detectable amount of chlorine. So in order to make sure that we have chlorine throughout our whole system, we have safe drinking water. The mains have to increase how much chlorine we're putting in. So our purification costs have increased, and the cost of chlorine, it used to be about a $3,000 or $4,000 bill this last time we purchased chlorine over 6. So the cost of chlorine is just
So is that because the testing on the water needs it, or is it just an extra safety measure that's code per?
So the chlorine is being used the whole time. There's anything in water that's bacteria or anything like that. Chlorine is making sure that water is safe. Part of the state requirement is that you have to maintain detectable chlorine, our whole system. If we're getting low on chlorine, we're lucky where we can open up hydrants and flush a lot of water and have chlorine throughout our whole system to be able to provide that safe drinking water. There are times, like I said, especially this year, that we were basing absolutely off that treated water. We're not picking up any chlorine, but that's our responsibility from that point forward to make sure our customers have safe drinking water, our residents. And so that's how we do that. And that's what's required by state.
Thanks.
Thanks. If we have nothing else, we'll move on to item number 5.4, which is the election process.
So this is another item that both Haley and I have been talking about. Right now, currently in Fruit Heights City, we do a caucus. We have a honeycomb party and a sagebrush party. I've been doing a little bit of research about why we do a caucus. I've been told different things. It's because we don't get anybody that will run for a councilman when we don't do a caucus. I've done some research and a little bit about which is stable. law right now is nonpartisan, is what they do for small communities or those where Democratic or Republican is the basis. They want the residents to learn about the individuals running for office. And I will tell you, the state of Utah, everything that I'm reading, if it has a R by it, 90% of the time you're going to win. Small communities. If you go to the nonpartisan, which pretty much every community, Utah does, except I think one other maybe, has a caucus besides us.
Isn't that awesome? We're one of two.
Yeah, one of two. They do it nonpartisan. So people come in, they apply to run for city council. You have a primary. If you end up having more positions than you need on the ballot, that's when you have a primary to get it down to the individuals that you need for your community. My question is to the council: is this something that, as a council, we want to move towards that? There could be associated with a little more costs. If you do have to do a primary, you do have another election that you're running at that time.
I'm opposed to
We
election.
still pay for a caucus. We pay for people to be here to do the caucus. But it's
Election for election.
pennies compared to election. Yes, you're right, it is. Election's gonna cost us a little bit more to run another election.
This was something that I had talked to Brandon about. It's something I was trying to move forward with. At this point, I personally would probably be opposed to moving away from the caucus, but it's not my decision.
I want to make some comments.
You can make some comments.
Since I just went through this in last November, I guess it was, what I have the issue with is the sagebrush and the pine cones. Because we really didn't know who was who and why was what. And there was two people in my neighborhood that called me and said, what's a sagebrush, what's a pine cone? I know of at least 6 people that voted for the other candidate that was a sagebrush, because I was a sagebrush, thinking that maybe that person's values were tied in with my values.
Right.
And that person really didn't run and got like over 200 votes, which might have messed up the whole election. And the caucus, I mean, that person just finally put the name in because they wanted the meeting to end. And so I kind of struggled with that process. So, and then when I went on the Davis County website and looked at every single city, everybody was bipartisan. But I think the sagebrush and pine cone, if we stay with the caucus, could we do away with that? Or is that tied in with the caucus? Because I think that really messes up residents. Because I think they see somebody that's a pine cone and they like them or they like their values, so they think everybody that's a pine cone is the same. And I know for sure on the sagebrush that affected the election.
If we keep a caucus from the research I did for 5 years ago, trying to change it, and talking with the Davis County Elections Office, if we hold a caucus, whatever those caucuses are, have to be printed on the ballot. So I tried to just remove pine cone and sagebrush just from the ballot, and they will.
To have bipartisan like everybody else.
Can't do that. We can change the names, we can say one's upstairs, one's downstairs. Like, whatever we can do, if we could just remove the affiliation pine cone or sagebrush, I think that'd be something I'd love to do, but I like the caucus format, because the caucus chair is responsible for making sure that the ballot is won. So for both groups, it's their responsibility as the chair to make sure that when that meeting ends, they have full ballots.
And that, I would say that is one of the concerns that I did read. There are other cities that just have enough for it, don't even have to do an election because that's all they got. For our community, that could be a a big challenge.
Do we have a hard time ever getting enough people that want to run for city council?
I will tell you,
Because I only have
three upstairs. Downstairs, that was the total opposite. We had about eight or nine downstairs that were nominated.
Well, I mean, I only really found out about it at 3 in the afternoon that day. Didn't really quite understand
Thanks for showing up.
what I was coming for. And, you know.
You're doing a great job. Trevor.
No, I'm just wondering, is there a better way to do it? Or can we get more city? Because I'll tell you one thing, I'm only running one term, that's for sure. But what I have learned and the experience, the people I've met, and we have some fantastic citizens. And I think I have made a teeny little bit of a difference in trying to be involved, you know, with the security and other things. I think we need more people to get involved. And I think we got quality people in this city that are a heck of a lot better and smarter than I am, that could add a lot.
So I think that we actually generate more people through the caucus system. And I agree that having some competition there is good. It's good for our city. And so personally, I'm in favor of the caucus, keeping the caucus.
But then if we did, we need to spread out the caucus, because if you had 10 people downstairs that were all excited and gung ho, upstairs we had 1.5.
The problem,
and we had to have somebody finally get a third just so we could close down the meeting.
so the problem as I see it is many times people oftentimes people don't always go with the intent to run. But they kind of think, maybe I would think about that in a couple of years. But once they see that, hey, maybe now's the time, and they get, either they convince themselves or a neighbor tries to convince them, or whatever the reason. Personally, I just feel like that we just get more people.
So can I ask, we got residents here, fairly new to Forsyth City, probably the last 5 to 10 years. Do you understand our election process? Do you understand the pine cone and the sagebrush and why it's that way? So and I think that's sort of the issue, when we run it that way. People don't understand that they could all be Republicans, pine cone or sagebrush, but people don't understand that. I think that's a struggle with, all the new individuals.
But the challenge is, have you guys ever been to a Republican or Democrat caucus for the primary elections? So we've got one, the other two, not so much. So the same challenge with the other way. If we're running primary, that nobody's going to attend those either. It's just going to be the people who are really passionate that go to those.
So what if you want to look into the county election office one more time, see if we can just wipe out and just do nonpartisan caucus. Again, we can divide up and still hold a caucus, but strip out and pull out the pine cone and sagebrush name for moniker reasons. Let's see if that's awesome.
We'll say, one of the other things I actually was reading today, because I was reading a little bit more about it today. Part of some of the other communities that like the nonpartisan part of it, that they do have individuals that would not necessarily go on, because they think they're going to the caucus and we never get nominated. They may not have people to come in. They won't do it. But where they just come and fill out the application and say, I'm going to run and it's important to me, they have that opportunity to just go fill it out, not worry about committing to that. And I thought that part was interesting, reading that part.
So what if we vote? What if we have best votes and we have people apply? Because when I had to apply before the caucus.
This is good time.
I love going to caucuses and meeting all my neighbors and that kind of thing, but I just don't think it works. I really think it's old fashioned. I don't know if old fashioned is the word, but in our time, there's just better ways than requiring somebody. So maybe there is 2 ways to go about it. I like with elections, you can either gather your signatures or you can go and be nominated. But I just think there's a better way than requiring everybody that wants to run to have to be in this one meeting, in one building for 2 hours. It's just not efficient, in my opinion.
Yes,
So I
sir.
think there's a better way.
Yes, sir.
If we need to get rid of the names, then would we have to separate the numbers? Couldn't it be one big meeting?
We could,
If we can get rid of the 2 different parts?
not necessarily, but let's say we get the best of all 3 worlds. What if we have people come and fill out an application? If we get too many applicants that fill out, then we can decide in a caucus meeting, those whittle it down to who's going to be on the ballot. Or we hold a caucus and we see if we can get more people who would be willing to be on the ballot.
Or can we do ranked choice vote?
No.
Well, John. How much leeway do we get on this question? Are you just giving us an option we can keep what we've got, or we're going the primary route?
My experience has been that people tend to actually get involved more during the caucus meeting than they initially intended. And I think that we would limit the amount, or I think it would ultimately, net result would be we would not have as many candidates if we said, oh, you gotta sign up before you come in.
Can we make it compulsory service?
Let's.
So I will tell you, this is just something, my community, we just have a primary that go through that way. I thought it would be well, for me, because that right away I researched my candidates that were on the ballot. I didn't have to go to the meeting to see who would be nominated. I knew it would be nominated, I was able to research them and go through that process myself. That is one benefit to it, but once again, that's how I took it. And so as I've gone through and I thought, this may work for guys, because I've had so many people come and ask, what's the primary?
Yep.
And I have to tell them, it's just part of what they used to do in the old. What's the sagebrush? Who's the Democrat? Either one of them are Democrat. They're just community members who live right after upstairs if I'm this or after downstairs.
I'm okay with
that. So I mean, it's just that process.
Let's look at what options we have, because we can't really decide anything.
Right, no, I just wanted to bring that to the council to see if that's somewhere they would like us to look at and maybe start a process of review information.
And to Flo's point, the caucus that I came to where I was elected at, there were younger people there questioning the whole process. So I think if there's a time in our lives to question the election process and maybe rewrite the whole thing, now would probably be an okay time. So I think that we should look at it and see what all of our options
All
are.
right, maybe I'll start doing a little more research on that and get that information out to the council.
Thank you. Lane, would you mind presenting the 5.4?
I do my best.
Oh, you're doing great. Keep it up.
5.4 or 5.5, because there's two 5.4.
Sorry, it's my fault.
So this is a project, on which we're like, on carry is. It will help, capture water from land drains, surface water, and waterways, and, remediate areas.
Actually, sorry. Hey, Darren, then would you mind just sliding out in the hall? If you're gonna talk. Is there any grant money for ADA grants?
I'm not sure I can do that. I'm sure there is some, well,
And this is a totally random thought I just had, understanding, I would talk before.
I might agree something about that. I think we still qualify it in the CDBG grant.
I don't know. It could be like a community school project funding. I don't know what it is.
You can do ADA projects with CDBG money.
Well, I know the CDBG money still increases.
Yeah. But we've already been allocated CDBG money for this ADA project. Anyway,
So
keep going, sorry, I interrupted you.
Hopefully you guys read the engineer's recommendation that they went off on the lowest bid, but they're definitely the most responsive bid, and I feel like they will be able to be
faster and more efficient.
It looked like from what I read that they could get that done by November first this year, and where everyone else was next spring. That's cool. Any questions?
Thanks, Lynn.
So moving on to our action items, item number 6.1, which would be approve, deny, updates to the Cleveland City, policies. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve the updates to the Free High City personnel policy.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Well, so I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on that? All in favor of approving the updates to the Free High City personnel policy, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 6.2, approve, deny award of Orchard Drive storm drain project. That just sounds weird. Award the bid, whatever. Award. Okay, do I have a motion on the table?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I motion that we approve the award of the bid for Orchard Drive Storm Drain Project.
To
To
Regency. Okay, so I have a motion on the table.
Just a quick question. Did we have more than one bid?
Oh, yeah, there's 6.
I think there was
8.
In the packet, there was a whole bunch.
Can you just give us your reasoning on why you would want to go with the bid that you're bringing to us?
Yes, so the low bid, he was not responsive, he won't be able to complete it until next spring. And looking over his equipment list that he had, I don't feel comfortable awarding it to that contractor who didn't have the equipment that I feel is necessary to complete the job.
And
Okay, and
difference
then,
in price is $3,500.
okay, and then why did you feel comfortable with this one? Just basically for all the reasons that you stated, but he has the capability or?
Much more responsive to me and Zach, our engineer.
And his equipment list looked better, good, adequate?
Yeah, he had more equipment, he had all, and all his bid tabs ordered at Smith Brothers, we had to go through, adjust a few things. It was.
So basically what I'm, in these things is what I'm looking for is why not, but also why this one? Help me see what you're seeing in a quick, that's what I'm looking for.
Was more responsive, they have a wider variety of equipment lists, they've been around longer. Jones and Associates has worked with them before, Smith Brothers, we've never worked with, John's never worked with, I've never even heard of them. That's what made me and the engineering team come to a conclusion.
Okay, thank you for
And,
that.
and in our packet, they did a nice write-up, and there was 7 people that bid on it. And Regency was down towards the lower end. They weren't the highest. We had somebody at 412,000 down to the 276. And I mean, I think we need to look at people that can respond and get back to us and give us the ideas that we need. Plus, Regency was the only one that can finish it this year.
And to correct you, Mayor, the difference in the price was $5,260.
52, I'm sorry. I saw in mind 35. My bad.
Regency has to work with the city before. They've worked with their contractors.
And we had a good experience.
Yes, I had a good experience with them on the projects they did.
Thank you for that.
So a motion from Mark, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Any further discussion on that? All in favor of approving the award to Regency for the Orchard Drive Storm Drain Project, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Item number 6.3, approve the city council minutes for August 20th, 2024. I saw there were quite a few notes in there from a couple of
Flo and George.
Yeah. Any further discussion? Do I have a motion to approve those minutes as outlined?
Motion to approve the minutes as corrected.
Thank you, Gary.
Second.
I second.
Second from George. Any further discussion? All in favor of approving the minutes, August 20th, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Excellent, motion carries. Couple calendar items to wrap things up. September 7th is the day of service. The day of service project is actually at the bottom of Green Road. It was not actively communicated from prior comments. Service project is going on in the city. There will be two. The west end of Green Road on the east side of 89 is a parking lot that has UDOT property. The plan is to improve that parking lot and to put some mulch from that parking lot down to the tunnel. And if there's time, put the tunnel on the west side up to the street. Second project will be going on is at Main Street, Kaysville, and Nichols Road at the bottom of Main Street. I have a couple groups that are going to be spreading mulch around the parking lot to beautify that parking lot and to knock down the weeds that are in that area. If you are able or capable, please come out and help. I am overseeing the one in Nichols Road, and I'm actually kind of nervous that we won't have anyone show up. So if you want to show up, that'd be great. At least there'll be two of us there. Three of us.
What time we could do it?
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock.
Could communicate with us, and if we had too many up here, we could always send some down.
That would be fantastic. We will go from 9 till 10:30. We have a hard stop at 10:30. We're going to try and get as much as we can. I will meet Blaine, as well yet on Thursday, just to make sure that I know exactly what's going on Nichols Road and Main Street.
And ours is 8 to 11.
Okay.
I have a question. How can it be communicated to these concerned people about the change in project rules?
I don't know the best way to communicate the change. I know that Darren and Lane have driven around and they had an outline project, identified that it would be the Green Road project 2 weeks ago. So I don't know where the miscommunication came from.
So I'll tell the first part of it was about cleaning up behind the center wall, beginning here and going up to Nichols Road. As staff, we drove that. It's more than just cleaning up the weeds that are there. There's debris that have been thrown over the fence and grass clippings and all. So there's a lot to do on that. I met with the state representative. We looked at some different options, and that's where we came up with coming up out of the tunnel on the east side and bringing that up to Green Road with a trail that you can walk up and have a park, and also on the other side, if they had time to come up the other side. He told me at that time their plan was just to be there for a couple hours. We wanted a project that people felt like they could accomplish and see something finished, and that is what we can do. So
you can contact him.
he was supposed to put all that information out. So he said he's meeting everybody here at the city building, and then he would go to the project at that time. So I walked the project with him and got on the whole thing with him. So I will probably be here that morning to make sure it's on that same as we talked.
Great.
But we prepped it as a staff, public works has been out and got all ready for that project.
Thank you. City Council meeting, September 17th, September 24th will be city planning commission meeting.
Another thing is that CCC are doing, so that's not.
Right.
September 19th, isn't it?
Yeah.
We'll make sure we do that, so all the council has that.
Haley, can you make a note for that on the next agenda? Thank you. Also, can you please put on the agenda for the next city council meeting? I did not properly do the planning commission recommendation. I was mistaken with the ordinance. That does need to come for city council approval. We have one applicant, but we need to formalize process to approve that city council recommendation to appoint
Shelley Bobby.
Shelley Bobby, yeah. So would you mind putting that on the city council agenda as well? That was my oversight. I got the wrong advice by our engineer. Moving on to item number 10, city council reports. Do you have anything, Gary?
Attended the planning commission and talked about schools and all sorts of stuff. It was quite a long meeting, but it was good. And I think, what other things did we talk about?
We talked about R16, where it would go on the plan.
Oh, yeah, we just, I guess, shouldn't say we, the planning commission, you know, kind of gave their opinions on where an R16 might be appropriate. And so.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Ray, do you have anything? Have you been reviewing finances? Anything sticks out? Anything to discuss?
Nothing that needs to be discussed at this level.
Great.
At this moment.
Thank you. Oh, Mark.
Okay, I won't talk about day of service. You talked about that enough. However, Founders Day, nobody's brought that up. I think it was a very successful Founders Day. A lot of nice improvements made over the one a year ago. And I think, I just would like to thank the mayor and the city council. I think we were all mingling and all of us stayed to help to clean up, which was a lot better and faster than what last year was cleaning up. And I think the city staff really needs to be commended and recommended. I mean, if you watch all of them, they're a well-oiled machine. I mean, each of the women had their different things they were in charge of. They were ordering around the public works guys, and the public work guys were handling it. The public work guys had their own stuff, and I just don't think we compliment the staff enough, and I think they did an outstanding job. The Veterans Memorial unveiling went well. We've had lots of positive comments from residents and I've seen several residents looking at it during the week and on Sundays and nights. I haven't heard of any misspelled words or anybody that's missed. I think they did a good job, the committee, of checking that out. The official dedication will be on Veterans Day this year. And since Founders Day, we have already collected, how many names do you think to be put on?
24.
Anybody else?
24.
We have 9 as of today, and there's somebody in our neighborhood that had never heard about it. I mean, must be in a hole. Never had heard about it, so that should take us to 10 people. What we're going to do is we will gather names between now and October 10th, and then the new names will be engraved between October 20th and November 8th, depending on weather. And then in the future, we will just add names once a year right before Veterans Day. I'd like to also thank Bob and Shannon Christensen for heading up the committee and the committee. They really pushed through a lot of things. You know, 5 months ago, people told me it would never happen, and we were able to make it happen. I'm just very touched by our staff, the public works. We got into a problem. We were supposed to have the rocks delivered on Wednesday. We didn't get them here until Friday at 3:30. Lane used his own trailer to take it up there so we could make one trip. Lane and Cade and Darren were here. That's their days off, but they were here to make sure that it happened. And the office staff did an outstanding job of collecting names and collecting donations. Also at Founders Day, I got to build a relationship with the Sergeant Peters Sabat. Now he's related to, he keeps calling you Lois for some reason. Lori.
That's my other nickname.
Oh, because he keeps saying Lori, and I'm going, I don't know, Lori, but then Flo. But I am going on another ride along with the deputy. He's a sergeant. This time he promises me some action. We're going to not just be in Fruit Heights. He has the authority to go anywhere in Davis County. So hopefully I'll see some action. But in talking with him, he is more than welcome to have anybody do a ride along with him. And I think, Flo, you already talked to him about trying to do it. But he's opened it up to city staff people, anybody else on the council, so you can really see what they do to help protect our city.
If you can keep the action out of Fruit Heights, that'd be best.
Well, that's why last time it was boring. It was on spring break weekend, but I sure could tell you what homes I could have made a lot of money by stealing stuff out of their house or stealing stuff on the front porch. But this time, hopefully it'll be a little bit better. But I think it's gonna be important for us, and he's willing to do a ride along every other week with somebody on the city council if they would like to. And then for some reason, my career was you go in, you see about a problem, then you try to come up with solutions, you try to be able to do it. So tomorrow morning at 7, I'm gonna be here cutting lawns, riding a lawnmower and weed eating. So we'll see if, how bad the city property looks after I get done with that. But I think, I don't know if some of you noticed, but those guys take their so much pride. Over on here, this side, I looked at it at Founder's Day and I thought, man, Skylar missed a little bit of grass. But the more I looked at it, he engraved an FHC for Fruit Heights. I mean, how classy is that for a guy that basically runs a lawnmower to be so proud of working with Fruit Heights? So hopefully this week I can clean up that mess, so we can maybe make it better as a Fruit Heights city. But, so that's what I'm doing tomorrow, and that's it.
Thank you so much, Nick Charlie. I just have a couple things, working with Wausau Integrated Waste on a tour for the city. I would appreciate if you guys can help out on the service, sorry, I appreciate you recording that. I made a mistake on the unveiling of the Veterans Wall. I did not recognize Bob Shannon Christensen. I did not say Bob's name. The person who was running this the most, so I felt terrible. Anyway, I have texted him, I tried to call him, but I felt terrible. And I did not acknowledge him while we did. But thank you, city staff. Blaine, thank you for calling more Park over to Nichols Park. Are you planning on getting more over there? Or is that where you're at?
I think I'm gonna get 2 more of those over there and then start hauling to Green Road to the other road.
Great, thank you.
One little thing to add to that, while your thoughts on that, I've noticed that the trail, as it drops out onto Main Street, the gravel and stuff is pouring out into the sidewalk.
I've seen that today. We'll get it cleaned up and maybe try to do something to maybe some more. I was gonna talk to John about that.
Yeah, or cut it back somehow so we don't fill up Kaysville sidewalk.
Okay, but I appreciate it. Conversation was fantastic. If you get a chance, please thank the city staff. Blaine and his team did amazing. Darren and the city from the office staff, Karen and Crystal did fantastic. Dollars to the amount we paid for Founder's Day compared to any other event is fantastic. It's an incredible event for the amount we paid for.
I would like to.
Yeah, I would say it's a couple $1,000. We can get that, but it's not outrageous.
But they also saved stuff from this year because they didn't have to buy a lot of stuff this year because they saved it from last year, which I thought was cool.
Last year, we got a grant from Rockland Power to buy all the chalk and the awards. They're doing all they can to make this a fun event, and lots of taxpayers very much. So I love and appreciate that. Moving on to staff reports. Jeff Oil, do you have anything to say? Like, you have anything?
Preparing the trails for service projects, me and the guys installed a new timer and ceremonies down at Nichols Park. It's the same sprinkler timer that we have here now. So everything will kind of fall together and hopefully work better than it has. Nothing else.
I think that's starting to look quite a bit better in Nichols Park. Even around the baseball diamonds, it looks like he's dug up the dirt and the grass looked greener than it did.
It's slowly improving, but we're chipping away at it, so.
We appreciate you, Wayne, keep it up. Jared, do you have anything?
Just, starting the audit process with the auditor, and so that'll be beginning, this week. So, we also, have a meeting with the state division of water quality, tomorrow, so staff is.
Great. Thank you so much, Jared.
Question, in light of the conversations earlier tonight, and we don't have, for their residents, we don't have much conversation outside of the public on public conversations. And so there really hasn't been any feedback that's to the council on the mudslide. I know residents keep carbon copying all of us on all of that, and then we never see a response from it. Is it appropriate to ask about where that is?
So
I can tell you some of it
I
right
think it would
now.
be best, let's put it on the agenda.
Okay.
I've made notes to put it on the agenda in 2 weeks, because I think it would be very helpful to have an open discussion, everyone knowing what's going on.
If I could say something, I'd love to hear it, because I'm also being ignored on all of the email communication, and in 2 weeks I will be here unfortunately. So I will be logging in, but.
Awesome. And I trust our city staff. I trust that Darren's doing it, but it's just, I don't know. And so I would love to have an update so I can call.
Well, I will tell you, I have really been pushing to develop on the report. This was something that, they said it'd be a month to get done. We're on month 4 or 5 right now. I do know, I actually spoke with him again this morning, his team, and it has now been, they have a guy that specializes with water. They had a guy that, took a drone and took all their information before they did anything up there, and then has flown the whole site, and he has a portion of the report done. It just barely got finished with, their engineer, and it is with the geotech. Their guess is what he told me is the first of next week, I will have a copy of that report to send to our geotech. So for him to start reviewing. It's supposed to have a mitigation plan in it too, that goes through the process. So.
Thanks.
But yes, to be on the next agenda, I think something definitely. I don't have any further items on the agenda. We do not have closed items, so I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion from close, second. Second from Gary. All in favor of adjourn, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ending this meeting at 8:44.